and welcome to what is expected to be a captivating event. I'm here tonight in Milan campus for this year's Hustings. We're about to hear what sabbatical hopefuls and Milan campus part-time position candidates have to say as they begin their campaigns. Who will rise above our expectations and who will fall short? Stay tuned with QMTV News, we're about to find out.
So, to kick us off, Ross, who sadly isn't here tonight, and Alexandra will be speaking on his behalf. As Alexandra and Ross are both running for the position, Alexandra will be speaking on both herself and Ross's behalf.
So the position of NUS delegate requires full representation of Queen Mary at a NUS conference, electing leaders, and if elected, I would fully support the anti-cuts campaign, which started off very well, but has fleeted out with the NUS, and so I think this needs to be reignited in the NUS and have full support behind it. I think representation is also another huge issue. I don't think a lot of students engage with the NUS or really know what they do. So getting students to know more about the NUS and engage fully will be a priority. Providing a platform to liberation groups, international solidarity is also a key issue, as I think these have been brushed under the carpet for far too long. So yeah, I vote with Queen Mary for NUS delegate.
Yay!
Hi everyone, I'm Falak. I'm a biochemistry student. I don't have fancy words like she does, but I do have something. I have a voice. I can take that voice to the conference as well. I can represent each and every one of you. We all have opinions. We need to speak up and stand for the truth. Who here wants to be in debt in 3 years' time? Not me. I'm studying this course. I want to graduate with no debt on my head. That's one thing I'm very passionate about. It's the rise in tuition fees. We need to get that message across. We need to tell them that this is not something that our generation needs to face. This is not something that our generation deserves. Why should we pay for someone else's fault? This is why I'm here. When I heard about this position, it didn't even take me 2 seconds to say, you know what, this is what I really want to do. I am a first year student. Everyone was shocked when I was like, yeah, I'm going for elections. They're like, dude, do you really think you can go for it? And I was like, I really, really, really want to fight for this. Getting dramatic here.
My name is Tom Tebow. I'm a postgraduate student in geography, and I'm standing to be NUS delegate. I think I'm the candidate with the most experience and the best ideas for this position. Starting off, I spent my last year as student union president at my old university. I've been to the last 3 NUS conferences, and I've got a pretty clear idea for where NUS needs to go moving forward with its anti-fees and anti-cuts campaign. So I'd like to bring that to the table. Also, I think that we've been neglecting a lot of other aspects of NUS work. I think we really need to increase our focus on widening participation, because if we're entering an era where fees are going to be as high as £9,000, the pressure on poorer students to not go to university is going to be increased, and we really need to start thinking seriously about what we're going to do to attract those students. We also need to start thinking a bit more about postgraduate students who at the moment don't get any financial support to go to university, despite the fact that their degrees cost even more than undergrads. Finally, I'd want us to use the potential of London having so many different student unions and encourage greater coordination of different student unions around London using NUS as a base.
Time. Questions?
You all make a big deal out of the education reforms that emerged at the moment and how you want to fight them. Could you give a clear example of the things like NUS to be doing?
I think NUS needs to have kind of a two-pronged approach. I think we've done a lot of great kind of demonstration and protest, and it's really good that we keep signalling our dissent and our disagreement with the current policy. But at the end of the day, it's here, and we need to see a lot more other sort of more constructive methods used, because at the end of the day, in 2012, people are going to be charged £9,000. So we need to be a bit more creative and not just stand outside the room shouting, but start thinking about how we can influence decision makers so that when they actually start making decisions, they make them in our favour rather than in favour of someone else.
believe that it's never too late to bring a change. We do know that tuition fees are going to rise, but it's never too late. That's my firm belief. I guess what we need is unity. What we need is everyone to stand together and really get out there and show them that we do not want this. And if we all stand together, one day, those people will get the message. That's what I need. I need everyone to understand that we're here to represent you guys, and I need your support for that. So I think by that, I think we can get somewhere. Change will come.
I think lobbying has been done for far too long and has been ineffective, and I think these student demonstrations have really kicked up the student vibe and the fact that you can regain your rights, and these are our rights. So I think more demonstrations, more representation from our leadership for these demonstrations is needed. You look at our brothers and sisters in Egypt and Tunisia and look what they're achieving. So I think when we put our forces together and we band together, we can achieve great things.
From your experience and from what you see around you, how would you get more people to fight for the right for free education? Because from Queen Mary there's been a very, very, very low turnout to the potential. How would you go on about implementing this?
Well, give out free lollies. I'm joking. This is a very serious matter. It was a joke, yeah. Basically, I do understand with the campaign, we hardly got anyone to come out from Queen Mary's. When we were walking down as a group, there was hardly a force behind it. It didn't feel like a force. What I would just, I think advertising would be the best way to go about it. Showing your passion. I think going more like, doing more sort of lecture shout-outs as well, getting people to be more aware.
I think it's about raising awareness on this campus, but also nationally as NUS delegate, and getting our leaders and the leadership of these unions to advertise and to raise awareness surrounding free education and how we can actually implement free education, because there is a way. It's been discussed thoroughly, and we've seen huge evidence that free education can be given to everyone. It's a human right, and we should, yeah.
Thomas.
I think it's absolutely true that the strength of our movement depends on how engaged students are and how many students actually get behind us. I actually think this union is very good at advertising things, but maybe we're not prioritising the right things. How many of us get leaflets for drapers and see posters for nights out and things, which maybe could be posters about some of the bigger political issues which we face? So maybe as NUS delegate, I'd like to convene a meeting where people actually can talk about these sorts of issues before we go to the conference, so we can find out what it is you want us to prioritise when we get there and what things we should be doing.
Amina.
How will you represent the issue of Palestine? Because at the moment the NUS takes a very pro-Israeli anti-Palestine stance. And I know a few years ago during the attack on Gaza, NUS refused to condemn it and actually condemned Hamas instead. And we refused to listen to it when some people got on stage and read the names of the Gazans who've been killed by Israel. What would you do to represent those issues, especially, freedom for Palestine?
Alexandra.
I think the Stop the War coalition has had a big impact over the past few years, and I think we need to raise awareness around Palestine. I think there are a lot of people in this country who are part of this campaign and will fight for this campaign, and I think it's about extending international solidarity and support for these campaigns and these people who are being oppressed. Yeah.
I've actually been at the last 3 NUS conferences where this has been discussed. I don't actually think NUS's stance is explicitly anti-Palestine or pro-Israel as such, but they haven't necessarily come out and said anything big on the issues. It's incredibly divisive, and I think that's why there's been a lot of caution, and I wouldn't want to go into the conference necessarily explaining that I'm going to vote a particular way on it without speaking to students, because it's incredibly divisive, and it's something that's been really, really controversial on campuses around the country.
The way I would go about this issue is the fact that it's very personal to me as well. NUS actually is very open to change. This is the way we perceive it. Oh, they're so empty this, they're so empty that. NUS is actually very, very open to change. And that's what we need to do. We need to literally just get there, get the message across. I'm not going to promise you guys that I'm going to bring a huge change tomorrow and it's going to go to Palestine and change everything. I'm not going to do that. What I can do is take students like you, your opinion, show it to them. There are the people who really care about this, and literally go out there and give them a message across.
Thank you to all of these candidates to make you all aware. There are 2 positions for NUS delegates. There are 5 candidates. Those 2 that will get elected will be joining myself and Sophie, Vice President of Education and Welfare, to NUS conference in April to vote on issues to shape NUS policy. So be aware that you can vote for 2 candidates into the position. I will now vacate my position as chair and join the audience, and it is with great pleasure that I now introduce to you our current NUS President, Aaron Porter, who will be chairing the rest of tonight's proceedings. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Raj. And let me just start by saying it's great to be here. It's great to see as many people as there are here. And I suspect, and what I will say, just to kind of take the heat out of things, in previous years, normally an NUS president would turn up and no one would know who they are. Whether you like me or not, and I know that there are mixed opinions about that, at least people know that that's not the same this year. But the most important thing tonight is actually your elections, and what I will say is I will take the opportunity, if there are people that have very strong opinions, I'm more than happy to speak to you afterwards and you know, take your questions, take your comments and whatever. I don't want to kind of pass that opportunity up. But whilst we've got the hustings, it's really important that we give the courtesy to the candidates who have taken the opportunity to step forward tonight, and that's the most important thing, and that's really the reason that I am here. And on that basis, we're going to go next on to student trustees. So can I invite up Christopher, Joshua, Oliver, Jordan, Farhad, John, Harrison and Edward. So those of you who are here. It's going to be the same format as the previous, so each candidate will be given 1 minute. There are 3 candidates that have previously informed me that they want to do a speech together, and I'm going to give those 3 candidates 2 minutes in total. We're going to start off first with Christopher to give his speech. You're part of the 3, so who are the 3? It's Christopher, Jordan Carroll and John Fenn. Excellent. So what we've got here is 2 minutes in total for Christopher Millward, Jordan Carroll and John Fenn. So the clock will start when you start speaking.
Okay guys, just to explain why we're speaking together, basically we're running a slate, and there's us 3 and there's also 2 students unfortunately couldn't make it this evening. And basically we're running the student trustees, and that position involves seeing whether the student union is financially stable, and also determining the strategy of the student union for the next 3 years, and also working within the charity law framework. I've actually been part of this role for the last 2 years, so I've been since its inception in 2009, and so I've got a lot of experience. We've got Jordan here, who's in his first year, and Chris in his 3rd year. So basically we're a wide range of students and basically share a lot of experience. So I'm just going to hand over to Jordan now.
As student trustees, I was asked earlier actually, I still don't understand like what your pledges are and what you're going to do if you're elected. It's more of a reactive role. It's your vice presidents, the presidents, the president of the student association, the student union will put forward ideas that the students want. They'll react to your idea, and then we'll see if they're feasible. We'll see if the student union has the capacity to put those forward. And we won't take anything away from you students that you feel is useful, even if it is financially doing worse than other parts of the student union. We look at the assets, we take everything into account. If the students really feel that it's useful to them, we won't just cut it away, as it's been done before.
Like John said, there's a range of experience in the team. Jordan and myself, we're new to it. John's done it before, so in some ways we're bringing out sort of transferable skills to the role. For me it's new, but I've done similar things before, so we're hoping to capitalise on that. And hopefully with the guidance of the people who have done it before, we're going to succeed as a team.
Vote the A team, guys.
Great. Thanks very much, guys. Next up is Joshua Snape is here. Joshua. 1 minute from when you start speaking.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a first year student. I've also been a trustee for the previous 2 years, working for a major / medium-sized youth empowerment charity, the British Youth Council. I feel that I can use these skills which I've developed over the last 2 years, working with a staff team and a chief executive, working with charity law and regulation for this student union. I'd like to bring a fresh look over the student union and its policy, especially dealing with representation. I would like to make sure that everything is financially stable and the law is correctly applied. I feel that I have the skills and the passion to make sure that this happens, and I would urge you to vote for me. Thank you.
Next up is Oliver Wolf. We have no... Oh, he's one part of the slate, fine. Next is Farhad. We have last call for Farhad. So Farhad Mohammed Rahman isn't able to join us. Next, Harrison A-Team Ferguson. Also on the slate, he's got a special name. Finally, I don't know whether he's on your slate as well, Edward Amatang Manu Boyaki.
Hello everyone, my name is Edward. I'm currently studying biochemistry at Milan here, and I would really like for you guys to nominate me as your student trustee. As a trustee, I'll be having many roles such as running the student union, safeguarding its assets, and making sure that it abides by legal standards and that it's run to a very high quality. I feel that I am the all-round people person. You know, I'm just like everyone else in this room. I haven't had as much experience as maybe some of the other guys in this slate, but what I can bring is a fresh new face to the board of trustees, and I can represent students to the best of my ability and all of a lot of hard work and the knowledge that I have from my skills as a manager. So thank you very much for listening to me, and please vote for me for student trustee.
Thanks, Jen. Well, you are all gents. So, any questions for the candidates here? Great. I'm just going to have a look around to try and make sure I spread them around as far as I can, and I'll take the lady there at the back row first.
The question I have for you guys is that every year, money that you distribute to different initiatives, you guys always tend to ignore the students who commute. Do you guys have any ideas, any plans, anything? Because I commute myself for 2 hours, and I'd like to see lockers on the campus side, at least, you know, it would make my student life a lot better. Have you guys ever thought about anything for those group of students who have to commute and have no choice?
Great, thanks very much. And just going to check, are you planning to answer these questions as a team or individually? Individually, okay, that's fine. So I'm going to run in reverse order, so I'll start with Edward, if you're happy to go first.
Alright, well, there are actually lockers on campus. There are some lockers on campus, but you have to empty more lockers into the campus, so that's something we definitely have to look at. I also feel that, like we said before, our roles are more sort of deciding whether the decisions that are brought to us are put forward. So if that's something that you really want to happen, bring it forward, and then we will discuss it at our board meetings, and hopefully we can be able to put that forward for people like you who can make.
John?
Yes, I think this is something definitely that, if this is an issue that needs to be brought forward to the sabbatical officers and the student council, the trustees will do their best to provide the support and the finance necessary if sabbatical officers and the council feel that it's a relevant issue for the union to deal with.
The point has been covered quite well by the other two candidates. If it is obviously really quite an issue for yourself and others, that other students have to commute quite far, but it has to be put through the correct channels. If the sabbatical officers bring it to us and explain what you put forward eloquently to us, we're quite happy to do so. And you've put it forward in this room. There are enough people in this room to hear your views. This will be brought up in the future.
Right. Yeah, pretty much same as what the other guys say. So my advice would you to be speak to your student reps that you've seen come today, and then that can channel through student council. And then when student council then passes a motion for the board of trustees, we can then decide whether that goes forward. But it's a very valid point, and just speak to student council to bring that up for you. Thanks. And finally, Chris.
Yeah, it's exactly the same point. It's a forum for open discussion based on what you bring to us. So that's exactly our role, and that's what we're prepared to do, discuss what's important to you.
Thanks, Chris. Any further questions for the trustees? I will go to this lady here who hasn't asked a question yet.
How do you balance financial information and
Great, we'll start with John first.
Basically, the Board of Trustees is made up of the 5 students and the 5 sabbatical officers. So basically, our role is to make sure that if there are any cuts, then we're representing you. We've got 5 external trustees who look at the financial side, but basically we'll be bringing your views forward. So if you're saying that there's a cut that you don't like, then to come to us to speak about it. So we'll sort of canvass us on your behalf.
Okay. Jordan?
Yeah, it's exactly the point. Student trustees are there to represent the students in these meetings. The 5 external expert trustees that are on the board can quite happily look after the union and its finances, but it's not strictly a business, it's a student union. We're here to represent your views, all the students on campus, so we'll do just that if that's put forward to SAB officers.
Thanks. Josh?
I believe that the student union is in a sound financial position at the moment. I don't anticipate large cuts to need to be made. However, there's always difficult decisions to be made, and that's why we will work with the sabbatical officers to make sure all the decisions are made in consultation with students.
Chris?
Yeah, it's our job to discuss the views of the students and come from that perspective. So depending on what comes up at the time will depend on what we discuss.
And Edward?
I think what you brought forward is quite an important issue, and as you brought it out now, hopefully if I'm elected, we will discuss this further at the board meetings and hopefully push forward some future plans to try and resolve that issue.
Thank you. And a final question for these candidates. I will take a question from. Take a question for this gentleman here.
Well, most of our answers have been quite similar. What differentiates you as candidates from, say, other people you're running against? Why do we vote for you in particular over someone else?
Great. Question about, in case you hadn't heard it, what differentiates you from the other candidates? And I'll start with Jordan.
As you already know, I'm running in a slate, the 18. We're here to build on each other's experience. The 18 is unique in that it has experienced students within the trustee board already. They'll provide feedback to us and we'll give our new experiences to them. And we'll be able to, we know each other intimately, we know each other. Just me, at the 5 meetings throughout the year, the trustee boards, we'll be able to meet regularly, get on fine, so you'll have a perfectly functioning trustee board.
You can always rely on Hustings for revelations. So, Joshua.
Yeah, I've been a trustee for 2 years now in a different charity, and obviously there's different challenges with that. Currently we need to make some difficult decisions around funding, so I'd like to be able to bring my experience that I've developed and the training that I've received in this external role to bear at Queen Mary. And as a first year student, I would like to allow this to have a fresh look, especially around the issues that affect all years through the union. I think there's some specific issues that I can reflect on in my term.
Thanks, Josh. Next up is Chris.
Individually, what I can bring, I've actually been a youth councillor for Birmingham Council, and part of that role was to distribute hundreds of thousands of pounds for projects that were started by young people. So they would apply, and we would see if it was financially viable, and then distribute that money accordingly to what we felt was appropriate. So it's a very similar role. I haven't been a trustee before, but I do feel as though the skills are transferable.
Thanks, Chris. Ed? Get a bit closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry. All right. Basically, I feel that since I was younger, I've been in leadership positions and leadership roles. When I was young, I was in cadets, and I was promoted to sergeant there. When I was in college, I was promoted to senior prefect there. And at the moment, I'm a manager in the shop that I work in. And I did that surpassing all of my peers, and I've been there for the shortest time. So obviously, I have the acumen to push all of your ideas and really fight for your opinions and put them forward at the board meeting. So if you vote for me, I will bring that leadership quality and determination and skill to the trustee board. So thank you.
Okay, so basically I've been there since the beginning, since the first form, so I've seen it progress from here to here. And basically, one of my main aims is to increase the transparency. So basically we get all this money, but no one knows where exactly it goes and why it goes there. So I want students to know exactly where money is being funneled, so then you have an opinion as to where you think it should go, as opposed to how the board of trustees are actually moving on. And also in terms of strategy, I want to canvass your opinions to make sure that the strategy for the next 2 to 3 years is what you want, not what the chief executive of the SU says you want.
Great, thanks very much. So, there we have it, the candidates for student trustee board. So they will be part of the trustee board, responsible for the strategic oversight of the union and for financial security and sustainability. The candidates, in no order other than how they are on this sheet: Christopher Millward, Joshua Snape, Oliver Wolfe, Jordan Carroll, Farhad Mohammed Rahman, John Fenn, Harrison A-Team Ferguson, and Edward Manu Boyaki. Thanks, teachers. Thanks very much. Right, now we're going to move on to the full-time sabbatical officer elections, and the first position that's suggested here is for Vice President Association, the BLSA President. So can I have the two candidates, George Ryan and Richard Donoghue? The hustings for the full-time sabbatical officers will work in that is that for the Vice President roles, candidates will be given up to 1 minute to speak. I will then open it up to comments and questions from the floor, but I would encourage within a 15-minute debate that follows, although candidates will have contributions of up to a minute within that debate, that they can both respond to the comments raised and questions from the floor, but also to the content of each other's speeches. I'd ask that the prepared speeches for 1 minute concentrate on what you're standing for, and that then in the questions that follow you can respond to comments raised from the floor, but also debate one another's content in terms of manifesto or speeches. So, I hope that's all clear, and if it isn't, it will become so as we proceed through the positions. But I'm going to start off with asking George Ryan to speak for 1 minute, and the time will start as when you start speaking. Good luck to both candidates.
Hello everyone, my name is George Ryan, and as I'm sure you've guessed, I'm from down the road at Barts. Ever since arriving at university, I've immersed myself fully into student life. I've been a member of our very successful rugby team and sat on our student council this year. I don't know how much you know about our union, but the Griffin is the heart of our student community. It's one that doesn't beat as strong as it once did. Next year it's being renovated, and I think this is a real opportunity to turn it into this hub of student activity that it needs to be, give it that vibrant atmosphere that will attract the full range of students at Barts. And honestly, the face of students at Barts has changed, but our student union hasn't accommodated for this, so we're losing out. Students are sick of cliche promises made, designed to win elections. If you want someone with ambitious vision, creativity, and realistic progression, vote for me.
Candidate was George Ryan. Next candidate is Richard Donovan. You have 1 minute from when you start speaking.
Okay, hello everybody. Good to see you all. I believe that I'm the most experienced candidate for this role, also the most approachable and most forward-looking. Through my 3 years at the university, I've been an Ents officer, which you may not know is entertainment, so I've ran freshers and all the events this year at the Student Union. I'm also currently the chair of the Student Council this year, so I've been doing a lot of work down here as well as down at Whitechapel. And I also was chairperson of the Student Staff Liaison Committee, working with the staff to make improvements to the education side of everything. But in terms of what I can do for Barts, that won't really interest you, that's on my manifesto, but what you want to know is what I can do for you. And I can guarantee that if you elect me, I will ensure not only that you will be supported, heard and represented on both campuses, you will also
Time, candidate, thank you. Yeah, the two candidates now want to take a seat. You can either sit next to each other or either side. I suspect. Oh, right, we're going for either side. Excellent. We really are in election mode. Excellent. No. What we'll do now is we'll take, I'll kind of see what it's like from the floor, but I'll certainly see what it's like for the field of questions or comments. Over to you. Who would like to ask the first question? I apologise that I will know very few names, so I will have to kind of point, and what I'll try and do is take a range of people spread across the room. First person I'm going to go to is not Tom Chigbo, whose name I do know, but I'm going to go to the other guy over there.
Sorry, Tom. So if you're elected, what would you do to get more sort of like Milo students involved in events in the Britain?
Great, and I'm going to take a couple more questions, and so what I'll ask the candidates to do is to kind of save up your thoughts in response to that question. So I next will go to Tom. I'll take a round of 3 questions, actually. Tom.
Everyone's pretty much agreed that medical students would definitely have to pay £9,000 fees and probably face the biggest debt because they've got such long courses. Yet the LSA hasn't really been that involved in a lot of the anti-cuts movement and hasn't really had a very strong voice in that. Would you change that, or do you think that's an appropriate stance?
Thanks very much, Tom. And I'm going to take a question from this side of the room, and I will ask the gentleman with the black tie here.
There is a lot of rivalry and you don't really know which one is the Milo and Bath. How do you promote the student spirit to form
Great, 3 really different questions there. Thank you all for your questions. I'm going to hand over first to Richard to give your response, and I'll kind of give you up to about 90 seconds actually in response to those 3 questions.
So firstly, the first point of my manifesto is that I'd like to reopen the Griffin 5 nights a week and reinstall Sky Sports, because as George, the Clubs and Stocks Society, Clubs and Stocks officer, would probably agree, the one thing that can unite people most is sport. Football is often described as the common language between everyone in the world. By installing this again, we can bring in everybody from Griffin and from Drapers, Milo, Whitechapel, everyone, because this is something that isn't currently offered at Drapers either. And there aren't many places locally that offer that. In terms of cuts,
BLSA is an apolitical institution currently. There isn't so much student involvement in that side of things. That is something we can look to change or possibly influence. We've got a new campaigns officer coming in this year. Perhaps he'd like to get involved in that more. And so what's the third question? Yes, sorry. I think like rivalry is good. You need rivalry. But I think we're rivals in the wrong way. We should have rivalry between our sports teams. We have different sports teams. That's the whole spirit of the merger. Like, without that, there'd be no point to it. I think we need to unite as a whole university, and rather than be rivals against medics versus non-medics, we need to be rivals against the other universities in London and compete to become one of the best universities in the country.
That's time. Thanks very much.
So, bringing you guys into the Griffin, as I said in my speech, it is the heart of our community, and yes, we could very well do with a lot more students from Queen Mary's and a lot more from Barts coming into it. I also agree, yes, sports are very important in uniting people, but I think we need to shake off this unilateral idea that sports and booze will bring people into the union, because 5 nights a week, that's not sustainable. We need to have we need to branch out to our students. Our students are no longer the traditional old boy medical students they are, and neither are students down at Queen Mary's. We need to have a more diverse series of events hosted by our societies, because our societies are how we get to these diverse groups of students, and obviously publicise them at Queen Mary's down here. The second point was from Tom on tuition fees. I think this year our opinion at Barts was hugely wasted. We are apolitical, yes, but we should not be apolitical. Medical students have a very loud voice. We are very well respected. At the student marches, medical students had a place at the front because their voice is so important. And Barts said nothing. I think we need to change that. And as for bringing Barts and Queen Mary's together, it's a healthy partnership, not a dependency. But you're right, the community spirit needs to be improved.
Thanks very much. Any further questions for the candidates for this position? Yeah, I'll start with the gentleman there in the back with the black jacket.
Can I ask questions to a particular candidate?
I'd like questions to be able to go to both candidates, but if you frame it for one, I'd still like the others
come back to me.
You'd like to come back to me? Okay, that's fine. Anyone else that would like to ask questions to both candidates for this position? Yeah, the gentleman in the grey.
If you have to pick one point from your manifesto that you could only carry out this year, what would it be?
Cool. We'll go straight to that, and I'll ask George to go first. You've got about a minute.
It would be Griffin's being renovated, and we only have next year to really start off the new Griffin as something new. Otherwise, people will just fall into the same old traditions that we're in at the moment. Wednesday nights is packed, other nights it's not. So I would like to go to the point of really pushing for our societies to draw people into union, not only during not only in evenings, but also during the day. During the day it's empty. We need people in the student union for it to function. And yes, when we have those people in, when we have those successful events, then we've got a platform to stand on and say, where's our Sky Sports, where's our TVs? But until we have people coming into our student union, we don't really have a leg to stand on to demand that.
Great, thanks very much.
We'll have to agree with George. The main priority at the moment is ensuring that we have a student union that's accessible to all students at times that they want it, which means that we're open on 5 nights a week, not just one, not just on a Wednesday for tables or sessions that we did. In my first manifesto point, which says that, it also brings about the issue of Sky Sports. I feel that this is something that will unite students. It doesn't have to be centred around alcohol. We're going to get a kitchen installed in this after the union has been furnished. this means we can serve hot food to students, like lunch and dinner as well. We'll entice more people to come down, and we'll start to get our sense of community back.
Yeah, that's great. Just had a request, we can get a response, so I'll take that if you want to just say a few words.
I feel you've advertised what our student union is going to be like next year, but you haven't said what you're going to do and how you're going to use that. Sky Sports, I think you're heavily focused on, and it's not that great. It will bring the sports societies, sports clubs in, yes, but they're already in. It's not those people we need more of in the union. We need more of our student body who are anonymous at the moment.
Di?
I disagree. I've spoken to a lot of students on both campuses. They like the idea. But if you want to know what else I'd like to do to increase things there, I'd like to hold monthly general committee meetings, which haven't been present this year, which has been partly a failure of the president and basically a lack of communication between the BL president and the club and stocks officer, because it's their job to ensure that these happen. And because these haven't happened, people at BL don't really know what's going on anymore, they're not as involved, and we've lost our sense of pride and community.
Great, thanks very much. I'm going to take a couple more points. I'm going to take 3 questions together now, because there's a few hands, and I'll go over there first.
Yeah, Donna, you got caught up on your first speech. You said that you were going to do something with Queen Mary specifically. I'd like to open that out to both candidates, obviously, clarify a bit more what the specific Mary.
Great, so point there, and I'll go to Lily from. Great, so a question about women diversity and non-alcoholic events, and I will also go to I've got to kind of go to the president first, so president wins on this one. Raj.
You guys hold wardrobe very dear to your heart. Would you be able to name the principals, all the principals of the Mary University?
Okay, so a question there. Who is the principal? It's pretty direct. Who is the principal of Queen Mary University of London? And you've got 90 seconds for each of these. I mean, someone's going to have a bit of an advantage here, potentially. I don't know. But you can try and answer all 3 of those in about 90 seconds, and if you do want to respond to other points made by the other candidate, then feel free to. And I find, my memory serves me correctly, it's Richard to go first, so we've got 90 seconds.
Simon Gaskell. I would say the point I was going to come on to was the point about having to unite and work together. We need to ensure that we can aspire as students and as a university and reach new heights. This means we need like the fundamental things like wireless internet on the entire campus, library books, like funding for library books, the more popular ones, so like people can access them. What else? We need to make it easier for sports teams to book things and to claim back your money and make sure the union is accessible to everyone. But if we continue to be at each other's faces in the way that some of us still are, that's never going to happen. We need to divert our rivalry against other universities, not internally, to achieve that. And Tamina, in response to your comment, I agree football does not necessarily apply to women. Then again, we do have a women's football team here, and there are women that enjoy watching football. But I agree there needs to be other things that are offered, and I'm very keen to get as many clubs and societies involved as I can, and offer them all the help and opportunities as they wish.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Is it Simon Gaskell? I was talking to a member of the current QM council yesterday, and she said that she loves coming down to the Griffin. And the reason she does it is because she has friends that she was in a flat with when she was a fresher. And I think that's the important thing. We get people from the start, when they're in halls with each other, medics and Queen Mary students, and really, really push for, you know what, just off the top of my head, just a night where you bring your flatmates down to the Griffin. Start doing that. If we get that done on a regular basis, then it becomes habit, and we have unity within our student unions. It will be difficult, I very much understand that, because it's something that doesn't happen now, and I don't think it's something that will turn around completely next year, but there are definitely movements we can put in place to change things. Tamina, your point about not having, things for women, or we're not talking about women in the student union. I'm not going to answer specifically directed at women, because I think it needs to be directed at everybody that doesn't come to our student union. One of the points of our manifesto was making Wednesday Union Day. People do go off and play their sports, but then what does everyone else do? They come to our student union, get some DVDs on, have some music, play some board games, anything, chilled out, soft drinks. There's going to be food there.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Just before we close, I'm not going to be out. There's not time for any further questions for this position, but I'm going to give Richard a chance to comment for up to a minute, and then George, and then we'll close the hustings for this position. So if you want to respond or just make a statement, you've got up to a minute.
Well, I think in order to fully integrate, unfortunately, it's going to take probably a whole generation of students at Queen Mary's / Arts to pass through. But I think we need to start early. We need to start like during freshers next year. I think we should have a Meet the Medics night at Draper's early on, before the freshers fair, and encourage people from each university to sign up to societies and clubs from different, either campus, to encourage this integration, so we don't remain segregated, and that we can progress and move on to new heights, raise the bar. We should believe in better. We should vote for Dono.
And George?
I think the role of the president at BL is at risk of becoming quite stale, or at least the process of becoming president is becoming stale. The last few years, it's been, you're at an end, you bounce around clubs and societies, claiming to be a member of them, just trying to get to know people. We need a fresh system. We need new ideas, someone who can think on their feet with not the unilateral vision that we've had on our union and our relationship with QM in recent years. Yeah, I think if you want someone with realistic ideas and who's going to bring about change and a gradual progression, vote for me.
Thanks very much. A huge hand for both candidates, George Ryan